Do you have a family member or a loved one you've been praying for to come back to the church? Just someone you really want to accept Jesus. You really want them, and you're just so concerned about their life, the way that it's going, and you're praying for them. It's their choice, right? But can you drag them to heaven? Is it possible for you to drag somebody to heaven with you? Seems crazy? Well, I want to explain that to you here today, because you actually can. And for those of you that say, what are you talking about? Hear me out here. You will agree with me at the end here. You will. So let's start. I remember many years ago, when I was real young, I was in a Halloween parade. And do you remember the Ghostbusters? This was a long time ago. And we were dressed up as, there was three of us. We had real elaborate costumes. You know, the Ghostbuster team. If you remember, they had all kinds of fancy suits and they fought the ghosts. Well, if you don't know anything about it, basically we had these elaborate costumes with 50 to 70 pounds of equipment on our back. All kinds of flashing lights. And my two partners each had a car battery they were carrying, disguised as one of their little packages that they did, like these little boxes. They were just disguised. I didn't have a car battery for me. So the van in front of us that was using the, there's a point for this if you're thinking, what's he talking about? The van in front of us, I had to get power from the van, so I used a 12 gauge wire to connect me to the vehicle in front. Okay, so there's a wire coming from me connected to the van in front. Now that van in front had a 5,000 watt generator running in it and really loud music system. And I told the driver, his name was Daryl in the front, when we get to the end of the parade route, remember, I'm going to be whooped and I'm attached with a tether to you, carrying that weight. So if you have to drive around the park, go very, very slow, because I'm attached to the truck and I got to pull over to disconnect it. I had it attached to my belt. I'm getting power for mine. So we went through the parade. It was a lot of fun. By the way, I don't celebrate Halloween anymore. It's a video I did on that, but I had a lot of fun doing it when I was younger. And so at any rate, when we got to the end of the parade, guess what happened? Daryl thought he was driving slow, but it was too fast for me to run with 70 pounds on my back. And it was the second scariest thing that ever happened in my life. Actually, the third scariest. There's two things above that. And he's going fast, and I'm yelling, Daryl, slow down, slow down. And then it suddenly hit me. I'm going to keep up with that van, whether I run my little heart out and run as fast as I can, or if I lay down and I'm dragged. Either way, I'm going to keep up with the van, okay? So I've never forgot that. That is an analogy for what I'm going to tell you next. Everybody has to choose, right, what they're going to do in life. We have a free will. But when you pray for somebody, if you constantly are praying for them, they're going to get opportunities in their life over and over and over and over again. And let's look at Augustine, St. Augustine, for the Catholics, Augustine, if you're not Catholic. You know, his mother Monica prayed for him all the time. She offered everything. She did so much, St. Monica for Catholics. And if the only way you're going to look up to heaven is when you're laying flat on your back, then God will keep knocking you down. So there are some people in my life that I know. My father said to me not that long ago, I think I mentioned this in another recent video, he laughed and he said, we're like a virus to some people. You know, you pray for them, and certain people, I don't know if you noticed this, you start praying for them and their life seems to fall apart. I mean, if they knew it was because of you, they would never ask you to pray for them, right? So when you pray for somebody, ask for God's will to be done, because certain things, they're going to go through things in a gentle way. And isn't this what you do with your own kids, for example? Or just imagine if you're a trainer, right? You're a trainer, you know, you're going to put, you put them through rigorous training to do whatever, they have to be up to the task, right? So when you pray for someone and you say, Lord, please, you know, it's almost like you're saying this. When you're saying, please bring them to you, what you're saying is, through your mercy, put them through gentle sufferings. I want it to be as easy as you can for them, but I want them to come to you. And, here's a great analogy I want you to think, because you can think, God's not going to put them through difficulty. I want you to think about something. You are on a camping trip with your daughter, okay? You're on a let's say a camping trip with your son, right? Tree falls and knocks, your son's a little bit weary, but your leg is pinned and you have a gun with you. Your leg is pinned down by the car and your son's a little bit delirious and he is walking towards the edge of a cliff. And he's saying, Dad, you say, son, stop, stop, stop. He's not even using his free will to decide anything wrong, but he's walking towards the cliff and you see he's going to go over the cliff and he's going to die, and you're saying, son, stop, 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 don't go, don't go. If he continues to walk towards that cliff, you can't get to him, you're pinned down, the log fell on your leg, you might fire a couple warning shots into the air. But if he keeps going to that cliff, you're going to shoot him in the leg. Don't tell me you're not. It's the only thing you can do to stop him. Maybe you're more clever than me, but I'd have to shoot him in the leg, stop him. And I'd be crying while I'm shooting him in the leg. I don't want to shoot him in the leg. It's not a punishment, right? And if he's determined to just keep crawling to go over that cliff, I'm going to have to shoot him in the arm. Now, the good news is God's a perfect shot. He can keep shooting you over and over again to stop you from messing your life up. And when other people are praying for you, the only way you're going to look up to God is when you're laying flat on your back. He's going to keep knocking you down. So how does this apply? Pray for your loved ones. Say, Lord, please bring them to you. Bring them to you. And accept the difficulties that happen in your own life. You know, I talked in a lot of videos about power steering when God is saying, what's it worth to you? You want to offer something. He does all the work, but he wants you to do something small. And this is why fasting and prayer go together. Fasting is giving something up, but you don't have to give up food, right? And if you're a smoker, even if you're not trying to smoke, you know, instead of giving up food, why don't you just smoke? Don't smoke on the odd hours. I'm just making that up. You can make up anything. Any odd hour you don't smoke on. And in the beginning, that'll be easy. But then what'll happen sometime? You're going to want to smoke and you're going to look, oh, I missed it by a minute. And you have to wait another hour. And then when it comes around again, you have to smoke. I can't believe I missed it again. I got to go 3 hours with no cigarette. It'll just happen. Little things, God will arrange it for you. And that fasting, whether you're fasting or whether you're giving something up, the best way to do it is just to go with the flow of life. Things that you don't like. Answer the phone when it rings. All those little things that you give up. Jesus will take that and use it. Now, for the Protestants that are listening that are saying, wait a minute, I don't understand that, because Jesus gave value to suffering when he suffered on the cross. I am going to mention the power steering mechanism one more time, and I hope I don't bore you, those that know it. Think of a truck, big truck, huge heavy truck, and you can steer the wheel. What's steering the wheel? You are steering? No, the power mechanism, the engine is doing all the work. That's God. He does everything. But you have to use your pinky. You have to put a little bit of force on there, just a little bit, right? And he does all the work. So prayer is like power steering. You offer something to it. You offer something there. You have to put something up there. God does all the work. But think of it this way, if I didn't convince you yet. I use this example. Tonight you go to, in many of my videos, tonight you go to sleep and you say, you know, bless Bob next door. He's having a rough time. The night after that, you spend half an hour praying for Bob. Why does he get more of a blessing when you spend half hour praying for Bob? Is that because God was busy and now he's thinking, God's not a computer. You have more investment of your time. God gave us this gift of time. There's no time in heaven. He's outside of time and space. So when you pray for people, keep in mind, you're affecting them before they were born. You can pray for your parents who are now deceased, keeping the commandment to honor your parents. That shouldn't stop when they die. And your prayers will be affecting their childhood. They're gone now, but your prayers will be affecting their childhood. God operates outside of space and time, right? So I got a little bit sidetracked. Going back on here, when you're praying for Bob then, your prayers really are affecting his life, even his childhood when you're praying. Things are being set up so that they make sense looking back in his life. Everybody knows this down in their heart. This is why time movies are so interesting to us, right? And you look at the scientific research that it should be possible to go backwards in time. There is nothing. I mean, you look at the most secular stuff. The science says there is nothing that prevents the arrow of time from going the other way. We don't know why it's fixed this way. You know, God's working on it. I'm going to make some videos about that too, but let's not get sidetracked. The point is, I gave you two scenarios with Bob. Just bless Bob and then give him a lot of time. How about the third scenario? What if you just say when you go to sleep tonight, bless everybody in the world, bring them to you. Bob's included in that blessing too. He gets even less though, doesn't he? There's less of you in it. So now think about this. What if Bob does something to hurt you? What if he steals your lawnmower? And now you bless him and help him. See, you accept that. See? And now your prayers really mean a lot for Bob. I personally have a lot of people that hurt me and take advantage of me, and I let them. It's not weakness, it's meekness. The difference? Meekness is weakness by choice. I could stomp them in a second, I could stop them. The people that take from me, I see what they're doing. One of the little tricks that I do is, for some of the people, I own a youth center, and some of the people I end up taking places, I used to put money in the car. You know how you have the coin, the quarters, the nickels, and the dimes? And I would always make sure the heads are down. So anytime I get in the car, it's just a habit, I make sure the heads are down. When I feel what the heads are down, on the top. Every one, I should explain that better. I always put them in with the heads up. So the heads are up, but the top one I flip. So when you look down at it, I never see any heads. And anytime I take a quarter out, the next coin I flip. So when I look down, I never see a heads in my car. Does that make sense? And if I'm loading it up, I flip one and then I put the next. It's automatic for me now. So I never see heads. And anytime I take one, I flip it. I have kids in the car that I take with me and adults. I'll get out of the car just to get the mail. I come back, I see heads. They took some of my coins. So I know I can't trust them. I can't trust them with these little things. I never tell them, I see you took some coins, because that's my indicator to see how much I can trust them. I never tell them, but I know those people. I have employees that they'll go into the kitchen, they think nobody's looking, they take 2-liter bottles out. And they go outside and they drop them in the grass behind the building. And I don't tell them. I see them taking it. They're just pop. I know I can't trust them. And I practice it, but I know my prayers will mean more for them now because I'm sacrificing at their hands. See? I could correct them. I'm every right to correct them. And there are some more serious things. People that actually hurt me, took me to court, did things to me. And I practice, when Jesus said, offer no resistance to evil, I practice that. And for me, you can take that to the empty. Offer no resistance to evil, depending on where your walk in faith is. And I don't want to lose you. I'm not telling you should do this, but you can take that as far as you want, right? I don't need to get vaccinated, right? I don't need to do this. I don't need to lock my door. Depending on where your walk is, you can't just jump there. You have to learn to crawl before you learn to walk. And it should be comfortable for you to do. You step out of your, the part says reinvest your faith. You step a little bit out of your comfort zone, but not too far, because you want to be joyful, trusting God, and have fun with your faith. Have fun. You should have joy, right? Be joyful, saying, wow, I'm trusting you, God. It's like a little kid when he's trying to walk and you're helping him walk. He's not thinking, you better not let me fall. Just do enough to trust God to see what he's doing with you. And I'm telling you, this is how you expand your faith. You get a little bit out of your comfort zone. You don't have to lock your doors. I'm telling you, do the little things. If you keep finding yourself walking away from your car, not locking the door, just consider not doing it. Let me give you something easy to do. If you're like, what? What's he talking about? Go to Walmart. Okay, when you go to Walmart, let's just say you have a pack of toilet paper. Okay, leave it sit on the roof of the car. Just leave it sit on the roof of the car if you're going into the Dollar Tree next door. Just see if God will let it there for you when you get back. Anybody can steal toilet paper. Just put a pack on top of the car. And you're not doing it to test God. I'm just saying, you just say, can I really trust you? Just you're having a dialogue with him. It's not something big. You're not testing him. You're saying, am I really that safe? Is it possible that you're so active in my life that I can do that? Have fun with him. Just think, if you were God, you're not going to be like, he's testing me. I have to go out of my way to keep the toilet paper safe? I only have so much energy. Who does he think I am? I got a whole world to take care of here. I can't be worrying about toilet paper on the car. This is God. Have fun with your faith. Practice it. Reinvest it. And before you know it, you'll be leaving your car unlocked. I have a confession to make. I'm not even going to say it because it'll scare some of you away. You're going to say, what? But you can really do, especially if you're only risking your own stuff. I'm not telling you to go borrow your neighbor's car and unlock the door and leave it running. But I'll tell you one thing. I had I don't want to tell you what car I got because, well, it doesn't matter. But at any rate, when I got a brand new car once, and for the first 6 months I had that car, it was convertible. My family thought I was crazy because I went in and I left the keys in the ignition with it running when I was eating at a local restaurant. And I did it all the time. Now, this is when gas was real cheap and I had the money to spend then. This was, I believe, in the 90s or something. There was a snowstorm in 93 and I let that car run for 2 weeks straight, day and night. 2 weeks. I never shut the engine off. That was a different car. Sorry, but in 93, but that wasn't a convertible. But that particular car, I let it run for 14 days, never shut it off, never locked the door, keys in the ignition. Front of my house, mall, went to church, everywhere, left it run. This was part of my walk. And it was fun. It was just neat. I always had a warm car to get into. It was always warm. I had no snow. We had a snowstorm and snow was built up around everybody's cars. Mine, there's no snow on the bumper. I mean, it's running for 14 days. You just have fun with whatever you're doing. And when this stuff happens, and then you have loved ones that aren't listening, I'm getting back on track now, you can see how God's been working in your life. And it will give you peace. You'll know that even though they look like they're living such a life of sin and they're so far away from God, and what happened to them? They were brought up well. They should be in the church. I just don't know where I went wrong with them, and you feel like St. Monica and you just want to cry. You can say, I know you're taking care of them. Because you know, Lord, that I'm willing to go through whatever you want to put me through. Because I know you're gentle. I'm not listening to evil shouting in my ear saying, you're asking God to put you through anything he wants to for their sake? Do you know what you might have to do? Don't listen to that. He said, my yoke is gentle, my burden is light. What's the yoke? That's the thing you put around the ox's neck, right? And he has to pull the weight. So Jesus does have a yoke around your neck, but it's gentle. If it was super gentle, he wouldn't mention it was there. So you have a yoke and you're pulling a weight, but he said it's gentle, the burden is light. He means in comparison to what you're getting. You're doing the power steering. You got to use your finger. He does all the work, but just something light. You just offer him the little second. And you don't have to give up. Look for things to give up. You don't have to say, well, I'm going to give up this. It's great to do that. One of the reasons as Catholics we give up things together is it's something we can all do together as a family. Just like your own family might say, we're going to do this together. We're going to say this prayer at this time together. Well, the whole Catholic community together, like during Lenten Friday, we don't eat meat, right? That's something we do together. Not because meat's bad for you. I see families like, I have a birthday party center that I own. And at that birthday party center, I'll have, Catholic families come in and say, well, it's Lent time, so we want all plain pizza. And I'll say to them, and I'll tell the people there to tell them, when you have a mother say we don't want to order any pepperoni pizza, I'll say something to think about. Pepperoni is not poisonous. It's an opportunity for people to give it up. If you're choosing to give it up for them and just not have it there, what's the benefit? It's not like, pepperoni's on there. I don't think And if you only have pepperoni to eat and there's no plain to eat and you're sick or something, God, you're doing this as a gift to give to him, right? It's not like something's wrong with it. This is a gift. It's something you're offering to him. It's an offering. An offering would be a gift, right? You have to be a joyful giver. Don't be like, I can't eat that today. That's not a gift. He doesn't want a present like that. So when you pray for somebody, you joyfully accept the difficulties that may come up that day. Because God is almighty. He's arranging it for you. And you'll secure those people to get into heaven. You can say, well, they have a choice. They're going to choose not to go. They will choose. I want to end with this because this is kind of long. But I think about this. Let's say you have a son and he's 6 years old. He's going to choose what he wants to do when he grows up, isn't he? But what happens for his 5th year birthday? Say you want him to be a photographer. You buy him a camera. You teach him how to take pictures. You teach him photography school. You put him around people to say, wow, look how great those pictures are. He's going to want to take more pictures. You get him a nicer camera. You get him a better camera. You maybe get something. You get him to work for the paper. Your son's going to grow up and choose to be a photographer. Was it his choice to be a photographer? Yes, it was. Did you force him to be a photographer? Yeah, you did. You did. Now, is there a chance that he will decide not to? Unlikely, but yes. But yes, there is a chance that you will try to drag someone to heaven and they will just fight and say, I don't want. That is a chance, but it is small. It is small. So just as you can do it in the physical world, you can persuade people to do things. It's just like that in the spiritual world. So peace is a decision. And if Jesus said you can be at peace and you can trust me, think about it. When you see somebody that really means a lot to you and you love them, you know that God loves them more than you love them. He does. And he desires them to be in heaven with them, no matter how bad of a life they live. He loves them just as much as he loves you. They may not be pleasing him as much as you're pleasing them, right? Different kids please their parents differently, but he loves them as much as he loves you, and he desires them to be with him. He has all the time in the world. It's all his. He'll do it in his time. You just pray for them. Accept your life, the things that are in you. Have fun with your faith. Be an example to them. Do not preach to them. They hear that. Let God steer. If you're trying to drive, just be a good example to them. Let them see how you're forgiving and how you're kind and how people want to be like you. St. Francis, preach the gospel always and use words only when necessary. Right? So let people see that you're a Christian by the way you're acting, and they'll want to be like you. They'll want to be like you. They'll ask you questions. Why do you do that? How come you're so at peace right now with all the stuff going on? Even if you say, boy, I bet you're disappointed. I'm saying, no, God will bring him to me. Well, they'll even think you don't care about him at times. That's not the truth. If you ask God to lead and guide you, then you trust that he's leading and guiding you. So it doesn't matter if the whole world is falling apart around you. You can decide for peace. That's the name of this channel, Decide. Peace is a decision, and it requires you to be at faith. If you really think it looks like my cousin Bubba is going to go to hell, he's 60 years old, he's still totally in life of sin, has nothing to do with the church, and I've been praying for him for a long time, but it doesn't seem like anything's going to happen. For you to say, God, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. I'm going to be at peace about this. Please bring him to you. Please bring him to you. Can't you just imagine, if you're really at peace and you're really trusting God's going to do that, can't you just imagine Jesus saying, wow, such faith. You're choosing peace. You really believe I'm going to do this. Can't you see? You know the scripture that says, according to your faith, it shall be done for you. According to your faith, it shall be done to you. If you really believe that, just think about it. Focus on Jesus, not the problem. Don't look at Bubba, look at Jesus. Remember, Peter was the only one that walked on the water other than Jesus, because he was looking at Jesus. Jesus, my Lord, if you tell me to come, and he was looking. As soon as he started focusing on the world, that's when he started to sink. And then he immediately went back, Lord, Lord, save me. And what did Jesus say? Why did you doubt? Why did you doubt? Do not doubt. Think about this. Jesus could not perform any miracles in his hometown before their lack of faith. He had to go elsewhere. They said, isn't that Jesus? He grew up with our kids. Where'd he get all this? Where'd he get all this at? See, aren't there people you like to say, how is it you got so smart when all you do is talk and never listen? He listened as a child. He was quiet. He didn't talk. When his time came, remember, he even said to his mother, when she started him on his ministry, she goes, he said, it's not my time yet. It's not my time yet. I mean, he's been waiting his whole life, right? And then she says, just do what he tells you to do. And he took the cue from her. And there was the first miracle, right? So don't doubt. Trust that your loved ones will be safe, and those around you, your whole community. And remember, if you're a person of strong faith, it's just like a fire, right? It starts and then it spreads from the center. That's why if you look at the saints, for you Catholics, when you see one saint, around them, there's a cluster of saints. The fire spreads and goes out, right? It spreads out, it goes out, right? So around you, you're going to be sacrificed, and you're going to be putting up with it. You're going to have strange illnesses. God's going to treat you in strange, surprising ways, right? And when you get these things and you accept them and say, God, I don't know what you're doing. This seems odd, I don't know, these weird things, these strange sufferings I have. They're manageable. They're manageable. You can still choose to be at peace with them, but you're just going to see things around you. It's like you're power steering and you're doing more. If you want to steer 1,000 trucks, you need more than your pinky. The engines are still doing all the work, but you got to put more into it, right? What you sow, you will reap, right? So that's all. I want to end with that. The whole point of this is that you can be at peace knowing that you have loved ones that are on the wrong path. They're on the wrong path, but God can move them around. He can let them see things. Things can happen. So he'll do all the work. So remember, decide for peace. That's what demonstrates your faith, and that's what almost demands God to do something. Wow. According to your faith. People say, how can you demand God do something? According to your faith, it shall be done to you. Think about it. It's as clear as can be. Decide for peace.